What should pastors in America listen to this? Because you have to ask your pastor to get off his butt if he's not doing it right now and make a choice, because there is one choice to make. You're either with the radicals and Saul Alinsky and collective redemption, or you're with the founders and their understanding of human individual rights, right?
Well, absolutely. When you talk about the founders, you cannot detach them from the Judeo-Christian ethic that undergirds everything that has made America great. And when you say Judeo-Christian ethic, you're talking about the Bible. And so pastors need to recast in the minds of their congregation that this nation was founded on principles that are sourced within the Word of God. When you talk about liberty, you cannot escape the liberty that is given to every man, because we are made in the image of God. When the founders said in the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator, they were saying that our liberties, our freedoms, are sourced in the divine. Okay. And that needs to be recast again in America, in the church.
But see, they are already...
And so, Carl, would you come and give us your insights, please?
Anybody, I've asked people on my radio program, I said, look, if you think I'm off base on this, call me up and tell me how I'm off base. Tell me, present to me proof that the man is constitutionally eligible to hold the office, and I will apologize. I can't get anybody to do that. I mean, I beg people. I cajole people over the air. Call me up. Give me proof. You want to call up and call me a birther. You want to call me a conspiracy theorist. How about this? How about calling my program and presenting 100% proof that this man is constitutionally eligible to hold this office? Now, folks, hear me. In light of Sheriff Arpaio's 6-month criminal investigation, now let me remind you who Sheriff Arpaio is, a 50-year veteran of law enforcement, okay? Now, the media wants to trash him and marginalize him, and that's how the leftist socialists work. That's the Alinsky rules. That's what they do. If you're getting too close to the truth, marginalize them, name call, trash them. Make you afraid to speak out, or somebody won't like you. See, I don't care who likes me. I don't. And that's one of the things that gives me a powerful voice. I don't care. The only dog I have in this fight is truth. Okay? Now, I got to tell you this. My first heart is to advance the kingdom of Jesus Christ. And I know not everybody in here might not be a believer, and so that's okay. And in America, it's okay for you even to be an unbeliever, and we won't cut your head off here, y'all. We won't. We won't. You're under the First Amendment. You're equal as a citizen to me. Okay? Now you got to answer to God. Okay? My first heart is to advance the kingdom of Jesus Christ. But my second big passion in life is to preserve this constitutional republic, and I think those two go hand in hand. Because if this constitutional republic is preserved, then we can continue to advance the kingdom of Jesus Christ around the world. You know, there's 65 nations of the world where what I'm saying to you right now, before this day is over, 65 nations of the world, I would be in prison, or I'd had my head cut off, or my family would be imprisoned. Do we want that here? We're getting ready to lose it. So wear the name birther proudly. All that means is you care about our Constitution. That's all it means. And be honest enough, like I am, and I know you are, to say that if we discover he's perfectly eligible, I will apologize. I will admit that. I will say, okay, I won't apologize for asking the question, but I'll say, okay, good. Then I was wrong. He was eligible. Now let's move forward with the election. I will do that. The only dog I have in this fight is truth. Somebody calls you a conspiracy theorist, wear it proudly. We see a conspiracy has been committed. Possible crimes have been committed, and we have theories about it. All right, now follow me. In light of Sheriff Arpaio's investigation, 50 years as a criminal law enforcement officer, 30 years at the federal level, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times elected sheriff, I think, third time going on his 4th time. The man is a law enforcement pro. Here's what he did. Brilliant. The media tries to marginalize him. Well, the only reason you did this is because you hate Obama and they're suing you. No, listen. Arpaio didn't investigate anything. Arpaio didn't investigate anything. He's sheriff. He's figurehead. He's the chief law enforcement of the county. He responded to Tea Party groups, petitions. You know what he did? Brilliant what he did. He assembled a 6-man investigative team, 3 of them attorneys with criminal investigation experience, 3 of them law enforcement officers with criminal investigation experience, 2 of them, and I verified this with Mike Zullo over the air, 2 of them pro-Obama supporters that were on the team. They came on the team, and Sheriff Arpaio, Mike Zullo said this over the air, Sheriff Arpaio brought all the birth certificate and all the petitions and everything to this team and said, look, investigate this thoroughly, vet this thoroughly, and here's what Arpaio said. He said, I want to be the sheriff who vindicates the man in the White House on this birther thing. He said, I'm tired. Every time I go to a Tea Party, I want to talk about Constitution and rights, and all people want to talk about is this guy's birth. See, Arpaio didn't know. He thought in the beginning that, it was just kind of a conspiracy, but that they could prove him to be perfectly legal. And Mike Zullo said that he said, I want to be the sheriff that vindicates Obama on this birther issue. Zullo himself told me. He said, Carl, he said, I don't mind telling you. He said, I thought this was going to be a big waste of time. He said, I thought we were going to be able to prove in about 30 minutes to an hour that this guy was totally legal. Zullo said that. He said, I'm not a supporter of his politics. He said, but I, chief investigator, he says, when I was first handed all this, I thought we'd be able to disprove the whole thing. He said, Carl, within the first 30 minutes of us sitting down using our collective investigative minds, looking at the evidence we had before us, all 6 of us realized that a fraud had been perpetrated upon our nation. He said, but we took 6 months then to do the proper investigation process. They got forensics laboratories involved. They got digital document experts involved. At the end of 6 months, they brought it back to Arpaio. The 2 people that were on the investigation team who said that they were pro-Obama, now they proudly call themselves, get this, birthers. I promise you. And Zullo said that on my show. He said they call themselves birthers. They said, we're now birthers. Why? Because these are lawyers and investigators who spent 6 months, got digital document experts, forensics laboratories. They did a courtroom, 1.5-hour courtroom-ready criminal presentation, video presentation, broadcast it to the world, but the world didn't see it thanks to the lamestream media. And they took it to Sheriff Arpaio and said, this guy has committed fraud upon our nation. Mike Zullo and the criminal investigation team, they believe that the fraud originated in Hawaii at the Department of Health. That's where it all started. That's where all the fraudulent documents, that's where the forgery that was put up on the whitehouse.gov, that's where that came from. No wonder they're stonewalling against Arizona and everybody else right now. Now, people, hear me. In light of the 6-month investigation that Arpaio just finished and just presented, and as an ex-cop, I can tell you, that hour-and-a-half presentation he gave, that would go to court, that would stand up anywhere, it would stand up to cross-examination, and whoever was on the other side of that would be found guilty and put in prison. I'm telling you, top-notch criminal investigation results. In light of that, now watch this, and in light of the most recent news that's come out in the last couple of weeks, most of you probably know, but if you don't, here's what we have discovered in the last couple of weeks. We now have in print, hard copy evidence that from 1991 to 2007, his publishing agents, Obama's publishing agents, see, he started to write a book when he was the president of the Harvard Law Review, back when he was at Harvard. He was going to write a book called Journeys in Black and White. Journeys in Black and White. That book was never published, but he hired a publishing agent and a publicist. They wrote his biography to prepare for that book, and the biography begins, Barack Obama, born in Kenya, to a Kenyan finance minister, and then they described his mom, I think, said activist in the Socialist Party, something like that. I forgot. No, anthropologist. That's right. Anthropologist, raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. He's going to be the author of this book. That was in 1991. Now, that book was never published, but now follow me. All the way up to 2007, Before 2007, he did publish a book, Dreams of My Father. Who did he use for his publishers? Same people. Who was his publicist? Same person. What did his biography say on Dreams of My Fathers by that publicist? Barack Obama, born in Kenya, to a Kenyan finance minister. Now watch. 2007, he's a senator and getting ready to run for president. He's already in that process of putting his name out. They re-promote Dreams of My Father. It becomes a New York Times #1 bestseller because of all of it. 2007, his publishers have a biography printed on him. While he's running for president, you know what the biography said? Barack Obama, born in Kenya, son of a Kenyan finance minister, and an American anthropologist, raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. That's when he was running for president. Folks, I just published my first book, published by WND Books. Now, I'm not bragging here, but I'm making a point. Now, listen to me. In pre-release state, it became #1 bestseller on Amazon in Science and Religion. It's still named as #1 bestseller on Amazon right now. It was just released officially just a few days ago. The Magic Man in the Sky, Effectively Defending the Christian Faith. Now, that's not a cheap plug for my book. I'm going to make a point. You know what's in that book? In the back end and on the back flyleaf, my biography. You know who provided that to my publishers, WND Books? No, I did. You know what we know about his publishers and his publicist from 1991 to 2007? He provided the biography. He approved it. They published it. Mine's out there. Can you imagine if my book said, Carl Gallups, born in Australia but raised in Florida? Well, if I saw that, first of all, if I presented it, that'd be a lie. But second of all, if I presented the truth and it was published wrong, and I just a #1 bestseller, and I'm going to let that stand? No, I would call my publishers. For 20 years, his publishers proclaimed, born in Kenya. For 20 years, his publicists proclaimed, born in Kenya. For 20 years, Obama let it stand. And so I'm going to say, he proclaimed, born in Kenya. Then we come along and say, hey, were you born in Kenya? He says, birther. What? Idiot, tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorist. But you know who the original birther was? Not Hillary Clinton. She was one of the originals. Barack Obama. His publicist. His publishers. The original birther is Barack Obama, who said, here's my biography. I was born in Kenya. And I'm proud of it until I think I might be president. Then if anybody mentions it, you remember John McCain during the campaign? People say, hey, we need to talk about it. He said, oh, don't talk about that. What? Obama put it in print. Now, folks, hear me. So Sheriff Arpaio releases this 6-month investigation. News media, you can hear crickets. Silence. Mike Zullo on my show confirmed. I asked him, I said, is it true that major media personalities have been threatened by Obama operatives if they ever mention this in their media platforms? And he said, Carl, it is true. He said, we're getting testimonies, we're getting calls from major media people saying, Mike, we wanted to be there, we wanted to cover this, we want to cover it, but we cannot. My family's been threatened, I've been threatened. Who's threatening you? Obama operatives. Folks, that's not a constitutional republic. That's a Venezuela, that's a Cuba. That's Soviet Russia. That's not a constitutional republic. I want my constitutional republic back. Now, folks, hear me. Hear me. In light of that investigation, now watch. So people say, well, you know, that investigation, that was just junk. That's just from this cop that's got something against Obama. Number one, they're wrong about all that. Number one, Arpaio didn't have anything against Obama. He wanted to clear Obama. He wanted to be a hero in that. Number two, 2 of the 6 investigators were pro-Obama. Now they call themselves birthers. Why? Because of the evidence. Number 3, if you think it's just junk, prove it's just junk. See, now, I produced a video that went viral just a few months ago, and I said, I've got 100% proof that Arpaio's investigation is 100% accurate. Now, that's a pretty bodacious claim for the title of a little video, but I put it up, and And I've not had anybody been able to argue with it. You know what the video says? Simple as this, using pure logic. What if you owned the New York Times? And let's say you were in the tank for Obama. I know the New York Times isn't, but let's just pretend. You own the New York Times. You're in the tank for Obama. A little old sheriff, that's the way they're presenting him. Actually, he's a 50-year law enforcement professional. But a little old sheriff out in Arizona, little old hick, he's picking on our poor president, and he's produced this criminal investigation, and his investigation's a bunch of junk. His investigation's a fraud, and he's picking on our president, trying to intimate that our president has committed felonies and treason. A little old sheriff out in Arizona. I own the New York Times, and that's what I think. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to investigate the investigation. And I'm going to expose that sheriff as a fraud. I'm going to drag my investigation of his investigation before the world. I'm going to bring down that sheriff. I'm going to expose him as a fraud. I'm going to win a Pulitzer Prize because now I have the story of the decade. Or, if I'm in the midst of that investigation, if I have any integrity at all, and I come to the conclusion, oh my gosh, like those two Obama supporters who were on the investigation team, let's say I come to the conclusion, I own the New York Times, oh my gosh, this investigation proves the man in the White House is a fraud. He's an illegal alien. He's not even a citizen of the United States. He's a citizen of another country, and he's the commander-in-chief of our troops. And if I had any ounce of integrity at all, and I own the New York Times, I could publish the story exposing Obama, bringing down a fraud, propping up the investigation. I now have the story of American history. And I've won a Pulitzer Prize, and the New York Times has been recovered from the ash heap that it's in financially, and the next thing you know, I am somebody, and I have saved America. Or there's a third possibility. I know that Arpaio's investigation is 100% accurate, but I'm in the tank for Obama. I have not 1 ounce of integrity, and so I won't say nothing. Now, which one is happening right now?
Get your copy of my new book, The Magic Man in the Sky, Effectively Defending the Christian Faith. Considering the days in which we now live, you need this book. Available at Amazon.com and WND Superstore. Get your copy today.